Welcome back, YouTubers, to another riveting NXT review with me, Mr. Parkin, on behalf of the British Fist. If you want a link to the show, it's down there in that description box below. Do I think you should watch NXT? Damn right you should watch NXT. You know what else you should also do? You should check out Brandon Stroud's article that he does on his website called The Best and Worst of NXT, where he goes through what he thinks are some of the best things that happen on the show and some of the worst happen on the show. And you'll probably find that we share a lot of opinions on NXT, people. So go check out those two links in the description box below. I guess we should get going. I'm really wondering whose idea it was to put Tensai on commentary. I mean, I'm not saying he was bad or anything, but Tensai on commentary? Why? I've never seen him or heard him on commentary before. Why? So we started off this edition of NXT with some Divas action. We had Emma versus Sasha Banks, and you know, this is a match between two quite strong characters right now. Emma being the most over character as a diva, especially in NXT, and Sasha Banks being this new heel. And I still think that Sasha Banks overall has a long way to go before she is a pretty good heel. I think she needs to work on her mannerisms a little bit, and I think she needs to also learn on just a general psychology as a heel, in my opinion. But that's things she'll learn as she goes on. She's got a pretty good start there with having Summer Rae as a manager who you know, she's associated with, who is a very good heel in that sense. As for the match itself, Emma versus Sasha Banks, it's probably the best Divas match I've seen in quite some time, probably since Paige and Sasha Banks had a match, and it got a lot of time and was pretty good in my opinion. So we had a pretty good match there. Match quality was pretty good. Storyline continuance was pretty good. They seem to have continued 2 or 3 storylines in one segment very cleverly here. You'll notice that Summer Rae distracts Emma to continue on their feud. Then Paige hits Summer Rae, which distracts Emma, which allows Sasha Banks to get the win, continuing on the Paige and Emma feud as well as the Paige and Summer Rae feud, which they set up for next week. So the distraction gave Sasha Banks a much-needed win as this new heel character that she is. And then afterwards, you had Paige accidentally clotheslining Emma after she tried to clothesline Summer Rae, which is continuing on their little feud, which is going on, which I imagine that will be like the next big Divas match, really, after Paige and Summer Rae again. Paige and Emma will happen at some point. And I like how they're still continuing that feud onwards. You know, they're both baby faces, but Emma still wants the title. I like the way they're going through with that. So NXT here have very cleverly, with some very good writing and booking, have forwarded on 3 storylines in one segment involving 4 Divas, and next week we have Paige versus Summer Rae. Couldn't really have asked for much more from a Divas segment, really, in my opinion. So after their match last week, which was fueled with controversy from the Wrestling God era, we had WWE.com exclusives from Bo Dallas and Sami Zayn. You know, I thought they would be in an in-ring segment of some kind, maybe in the main event or something. But we didn't quite get that. You know, we had Bo Dallas saying in his real, like, sort of happy-go-lucky, I'm going to be taking a well-earned vacation, even though I've only just gotten back to in-ring competition. Way to make the crowd love your decision there, Bo Dallas. They're going to enjoy you not being there. You probably think that's going to get you heel heat, but the crowd are going to love not seeing Bo Dallas. You just know that. We have Sami Zayn lamenting the decision to not restart the match after the turnbuckle debacle that they had, even though JBL restarted the match with, you know, with the ropes, etc., Bo's foot being on the rope. That was good how they continued that. And then you had JBL towards the end of the show informing us that Sami Zayn needs to be taught some respect, and that he didn't want the Wrestling God era to begin with controversy, and Sami Zayn will have to apologise or he won't be around for quite some time. He knows where his office is, and if anyone knows what's best for business, people, it's JBL. So there may have been small portions of the show with these WWE.com exclusives, 3 of them with Bo Dallas, Sami Zayn, and JBL. I felt maybe they could have been on the show, but at least they've addressed it in some kind of way, which didn't take up too much time throughout the show, which is going to be focused on more other things, which I'll go on to now. This segment between Corey Graves and Adrian Neville addressing what happened last week when they lost their rematch for the Tag Team Championships and Corey Graves turned on Adrian Neville. This segment here, in my opinion, should have been the opener. You know, this was setting up a feud which was going to main event the show, yet it was the second segment on the show, which was quite strange, really. You had the Divas match open, and then this was the second segment on the show. This definitely should have opened the show, in my opinion. You had Corey Graves in a suit, the first time I've ever seen that. Apparently he's had this massive, drastic character change, which I'll go on to in the main event. And basically, you have Adrian Neville come out, they start brawling in the ring, and that leads to a main event match being announced later on in the night of Adrian Neville versus Corey Graves, which I'm going to get onto much more detail about when I talk about the main event itself. But at least they've addressed what happened last week in a segment, and they've had the brawling, and they've got some heat there, and they've got, you know, this blood feud going now between these two, which should be a useful addition to the NXT show with these feuds going around. Every segment seems to have some kind of feud going on right now. So the Ascension, after retaining their tag team championships after their rematch against Corey Graves and Adrian Neville, faced a jobber tag team this week. The crowd were interestingly chanting, "Let's go these guys! Let's go these guys!" Who else loves the NXT crowd at Full Sail University? God, they just chant any fucking thing, don't they? Let's go these guys. You'd never hear that in a WWE arena, would you? Anyway, I see what NXT are trying to do here. They've got a jobber tag team out there so they can make Ascension look like a very dominant tag team. And it did achieve that. I mean, that it does achieve. With jobber matches like that, you'll always generally achieve that kind of thing. I just wonder going forward, with NXT's tag team division being as it is, who are going to be the next challengers? You know, is it going to be Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy, who in my opinion are very entertaining, but are not really that credible as a tag team going after the tag team championships? I just wonder what they're going to do with the next babyface team that goes up against the Ascension, because it was a good, in my opinion, a very good thing they got the belts off Adrian Neville and Corey Graves. I think Ascension could go a lot further with the belts. They just need, if they're going to have a good run, they need some credible tag teams, even if that means bringing in like a primetime players or an Uso, so maybe it's for them to have some kind of short-term program with in the meantime. Do you remember a while back when I said that my buzzkill for NXT was Johnny Curtis, and then he reinvented himself as Fandango, and I really did enjoy the character? Well, after a while seeing this guy in the ring now, I found my new buzzkill, and I think you can probably tell who it is. CJ Parker, people. He's my new NXT buzzkill. Whenever I see this guy, whether it's his music, his video, his finisher, his persona, his gimmick, his moves, his wrestling style, it just makes me want to turn the channel. Even when he's against a guy like Alexander Rusev, who I actually enjoy watching. I actually enjoy watching this 300-pound Muay Thai style guy. I enjoy watching that guy. You know, CJ Parker just made me want to switch off immediately. But I'll say this, at least Alexander Rusev won quickly. You know, and then there was this woman that came to the ring, and it's like, who's this woman? She just walks around the ring, Alexander Rusev wins, and then she just walks out. I'm like, I kind of had to do a double take. Like, was that, what? Who was that woman? Anyway, I guess that's going to be part of a big storyline going forward with Alexander Rusev, maybe. I don't know, because they continued on the Tyler Breeze and CJ Parker feud here as well. Apparently, during the break, Tyler Breeze came out, he got his phone back and cut off some of CJ's dreadlocks, and the crowd enjoyed that way more than they did of any of CJ Parker's offensive maneuvers. But apparently, they're going to be having a match next week, so this feud is going to continue. I just can't believe they're still having CJ Parker feud with Tyler Breeze, and Tyler Breeze still gives a shit about this loser. Let their match next week have Tyler Breeze win clean, and then move on from this fucking loser called CJ Parker, who's nothing more than a glorified jobber right now, and rightfully so with that terrible gimmick that he has that the crowd hate. So the main event of this show, a week after Corey Graves turns on Adrian Neville, it's Adrian Neville versus Corey Graves, and my first thought about this was, God damn NXT, you blew your load way too quickly here. You know, in my opinion, this didn't get announced until later on in the show. They could have definitely set this up a lot better, maybe next week or in 2 weeks' time or something. My first thought was, whoa, slow down. You know, there's no need to blow your wad this quickly. Why not build this up a little bit before having them face off for the first time, which is probably going to be the match most people are excited for, because that's what happens when you have matches for the first time. Generally, people are more excited. Why not build this up a little bit, other than just have them go out? I mean, at least Corey Graves won. You know, he's the heel. Generally, if you're establishing a new heel character that Corey Graves has got right now, you should establish that first, and then you can have the babyface get his big win later on down the line. But, you know, I just don't get why they did this match straight away. I mean, the match was okay. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the match. But, you know, build this up a little bit. Let me anticipate this a little bit more, because it's a match that I would kind of anticipate with the right story behind it, which it has, in my opinion. Oh, and this whole character change with Corey Graves, according to the commentators, one of which was Tensai, by the way, and the other which was Alex Riley, and you had Phillips out there as well. Apparently, Corey Graves has been doing this whole stay down act the whole time just because he wanted to get to the Wyatt family and then defend the tag team championships, and then out of nowhere, he's just, he really is now a guy in a suit. That's who he really is. So ever since he debuted in NXT, even as a babyface, he's been faking it. He's been acting. You wouldn't have thought, would you? But there you go. So, with Graves just turning heel, you kind of had to know Corey Graves was going to win this match. They were going to just, establish the new character. He continued his attack afterwards, which got, a lot of heel heat from the fans, even though the fans were chanting, Alex Riley, which I found kind of funny. I thought they might want Alex Riley to come down and maybe attack Corey Graves to get him off AJ. Well, that would have been an interesting twist to this storyline. But no, they didn't go down that way. So I'd say overall a pretty good main event match. I just felt that they blew their wad a little bit early with this feud. Maybe just me, though. Overall, this week's edition of NXT, pretty good. I mean, they've really started the ball rolling with the Corey Graves and AJ and Neville feud. They've had, a very unique segment involving them two in the sense they were in a promo segment together, and they're starting to build heat for that feud. The Divas feuds are coming on really well right now. Probably one of the more interesting multiple feuds going on in NXT is to do with the Divas right now. Really good stuff. The Ascension, the Jobber tag team this week, but let's hope they get more direction next week. I don't like CJ Parker, but Tyler Breeze being there at least made it slightly entertaining in my opinion. Hopefully, generally with NXT, you'll get a couple of feuds one week and a couple of other feuds the next week. So I'm hoping next week they'll continue the Divas feuds on. They'll do some different stuff with regards, Tyler Breeze and other feuds, etc. So I'd say this week's NXT show was pretty good. Not only have we got some good wrestling on this show, in my opinion, and some good and bad CJ Parker characters, but, at least there's some good wrestling there, some good storyline continuance, in my opinion, and I'm eagerly anticipating, once again, NXT's show next week. I'm also quite interested to see where they're going to go with Sami Zayn and Bo Dallas down the line and see what sort of role JBL has in NXT going forward. But anyway, that's been another review with me, Mr. Parkin, on behalf of the British Fist, of course. If you have any comments on the show, comment down below. Check out Brandon Stroud's column in the description box, and also check out this show too, especially the Divas match, the opener, and the main event match, which I'd recommend you watch. But anyway, thank you very much for watching this review, and goodbye.